Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. All right, Austin. Yeah, we're just talking about the hurricane that's about to hit. You said the west coast of Florida, Pensacola. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So that'd be like Pensacola, like Panama City, and all those spots. So they're getting hit a lot harder than we're going to get hit. I mean, they always say like Jacksonville is kind of in Hurricane Alley, where either it goes south of us, it goes west of us, or it goes north of us. I've been here now, off and on for like 12 years, and I've only seen it be like really bad like once. So yeah, usually Jacksonville's kind of in a safe spot.
Yeah, I lived in Miami for about a year
Oh yeah,
back in the day, and
yeah.
yeah, man, that's the thing. That was the topic. That was the hot topic. It's like what hurricane's gonna come through this year, how much damage
Yeah.
we're gonna take. It kind of sucks, man, that you're in like this sweet spot of the hurricane.
Yeah, it's wild too because like yeah, and I've been here long enough to like not really stress about it too bad. Because like I said, I mean I've been here for 12 years and we haven't really been hit only once, but like it's an excuse for people like to party and stuff. So there's like hurricane parties and everything going on, and especially because I live like 2 blocks away from the beach, so like I feel like everyone now is like getting ready to party for the next couple of days, which is just wild because it's still like Mother Nature doing her thing, and I guess any excuse for people to party and drink, have at it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people making excuses,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
right? But I guess in that
yeah,
situation, you might as well. Now, to you, I was looking at your IG. You made a post about this fight, man. You said no
yeah.
motivational shit needed. I know what's at stake. I know who I'm fighting. Like all of this stuff, man. Like explain the circumstances heading into this fight for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you follow my career, if you know what's going on, you know what's up right now. This is the fourth fight of my fourth. This is the fourth fight of my 4 fight deal. So I need a win. I need a win to keep the dream alive, to keep the journey going. If you lose, it's a giant roadblock, and then it's back to the drawing board. So I do anticipate losing. In terms of a fight camp, I took it upon myself to go outside of my comfort zone a little bit, and I've spent the majority of my fight camp now in Las Vegas training at Xtreme Couture, and that gym has nothing but killers, and they only know how to train one way, and that's hard and violent, and it fits my personality. It fits what I'm trying to do. So, I've been in Vegas now for the past 3.5 weeks, getting ready to head back there next week as well to finish up my fight camp, and I couldn't be happy right now with where I'm at mentally and where I'm at physically as well.
Yeah, there's a really solid group of like 205ers, heavyweights at Extreme Couture. I speak to a few of them every time
Yeah.
they have a fight coming up. Like who have you worked with closely over there?
I mean, there's been a couple heavyweights. Carl Williams has been over there. He's a pretty good grappler, but also he's been giving me some really good looks. There's been a bunch of guys, man. I mean, obviously Sean. He fights a little smaller than I do, but he weighs a little more. I think right now he's probably like in the 200, 220 range or so. And in terms of rounds, man, like no one's gonna give you a harder round than Sean Strickland. So we've been getting rounds in together. There's been a bunch of guys, man. A bunch of guys with fights coming up as well. Michel Pierre is a guy over there that's actually going to be at my fight card. He's the main event. He's been getting rounds in over there as well. So it's been super beneficial to go against number one guys my size, number two guys with various skill sets, whether it's grappling or supreme striking. I've been seeing a lot of looks, and obviously we've been starting a game plan now in terms of the looks that I'm going to see in my fight, and I'm getting the looks I need to get to where by the time October 19th comes around and that cage door closes for me, nothing's going to surprise me.
When you got a guy that is 220, right,
Mhm.
and you step in sparring with him, what's unique about that size and like the speed and like what can you take away from those rounds?
I mean, if you're talking about rounds with Sean Strickland, you're taking away that you're going to go to war, and it's going to be a battle. It's the closest thing to a fight I feel like in terms of sparring that you can get to, because you understand that it's going to suck. It's going to be nonstop pressure. You're going to feel uncomfortable, and you understand this, man. That's what this fight game is all about. It's immersing yourself in chaos and immersing yourself in moments where you feel uncomfortable. So by the time that fight day comes around, man, nothing's gonna deter you. Nothing's gonna surprise you. So I think when you talk about maybe going with some smaller guys, obviously speed is definitely a thing. You have to see the shots a lot quicker. But when you have the unique sparring partner of like a Sean Strickland who only knows how to spar one way, um, you know you're in for a rough day, and it's going to be a battle. But I'll say this much, man, and I understand people want to judge everyone off of a 10-second YouTube clip or a 10-second Instagram clip. What people don't see, I feel like, with Sean Strickland is the fact that he's always after that round, he's giving you advice of what he saw and what you can improve on or what you're doing well. And that's been really big for me in this camp. I mean, you talk about a former UFC champion and a guy who's trying to get that belt back. He's fought the who's who in the sport, and he's fought on the biggest stages, so he knows what he's talking about. So whenever he feels the need to give me advice or he gives the class advice, people better listen, man, because he knows exactly what he's talking about. And that's kind of the side that you don't really see a lot of Sean Strickland, because we always see the hard sparring stuff, and people always got something to say about it. But what people don't see, man, is just he cares in getting the best out of you. And whether that's pushing you in sparring, whether that's the conversations after sparring, um, it feels like he has like your best interest in mind, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, that's I've heard that from quite a few fighters that you might not be friends with him, but he's one of the best teammates you could ever have. And
Yeah,
you step off the where you finish around with Sean Strickland and you go to Michelle Pereira, who's like totally different styles, but kind of
yeah,
someone that you could get ready for your next opponent, right? Is that
yeah,
is that why you've been working with him?
yeah. I mean, I've been working with a lot of like. Listen, there's a lot of unique styles over there. And like, yeah, I think that the more different looks that I can see, the better. Obviously, we talk about my opponent coming up October 19th. He's got a very unique skill set, and he does a couple things really, really well, having that karate slash taekwondo background. So, yeah, I think anytime someone can throw crazy kicks at you, throw those looping punches at you, things like that, it's only going to help.
Yeah, for sure, man. And let's talk about Despaigne. I believe that's how you say his last name. What do you
Yeah.
think of that style? That he's a Olympic gold medalist. You played in the NFL. What I mean? It's like a very good storyline coming in, right? Two different sports.
Yeah, and what one would say that it's kind of like a strikers matchup too as well. I mean, he's obviously a very good striker. If you look at my history, a lot of my wins have come from KO and strikes itself. Yeah, I mean, I think the UFC, they know what they're doing. You have two heavyweights that are going for the finish, and I think if you look at his last fight, he got exposed a little bit. Having to fight off his back, was not comfortable there. Obviously, prefers to stand up. He's taken it upon himself to go to American Top Team, which I feel like has one of the best heavyweight wrestling coaches in the country, to improve that, as he should, because that was a glaring weakness that you saw his last fight against Waldo Cortez. When you talk about what I'm bringing to the table and what I know, we've sparred a lot of the same people in Florida, and he was at Fusion for a while, and I know a lot of guys that used to train at Fusion. I know a lot of guys that have sparred against him, so I have a pretty good idea of what he's going to try to do, of what he feels comfortable doing when he faces adversity, what he likes to throw, and most importantly, I feel like I know his mentality because I've had a couple people kind of explain it to me now. So I feel like that's an advantage. When you talk about going to battle, when you talk about going to war, if you look at some of the best generals in the history, you're talking about Caesar, you're talking about Napoleon and everything. They always made it a habit of not only studying their opponent, but also getting kind of in their opponent's head a little bit of what their mindset is. And I feel like, talking to people that have gone with him, that have sparred with him, I have a pretty good idea of what he's going to try to do. So I'm supremely confident October 19th of, getting the job done.
Yeah, going back to what you said, the matchmakers know what they're doing. They know what they're doing with this one, man. They're
Yeah.
giving you. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they're giving you an opportunity, right, to go
Yep.
out there and
Yep.
showcase your best assets. Do you feel the same?
Yep. Yeah, well, without a doubt. I mean, obviously, we're both on a slide right now in terms of our MMA careers, but you have two guys that put on exciting fights that have never really been in a boring fight before. And yeah, I think it's a MMA fan's dream, right? Because you're talking about heavyweights. We know at heavyweights that we can throw, all it takes is one, but then you're taking two very unique backgrounds of what got us to this point. So the story's there as well. I think when you talk about matchmaking, when you talk about what's intriguing for a fight, you need a couple of things. Either you need the story, you need the highlights of what the athlete's capable of, or you need the mic skills. And I don't think there really needs to be a lot of mic skills, a lot of shit talking on Instagram, making posts and everything, because to me, this fight will sell itself. You know, Google us. That's all you got to do. If you don't know who we are, just Google us, and you're gonna know it's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, like they say, do your Googles and you'll figure it
Do your Googles.
out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
For
man.
sure.
I'm excited for this fight, man. It's a great matchup, and
Yeah.
when you look at him, obviously he lost his fight last fight. It was his first loss as an MMA fighter. Do you remember your first loss in MMA and how it impacted you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, when you really look at it, my first law, it came on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, and that was against Greg Hardy. And it was a fight that, looking back on it, I should have won. Wasn't patient, overextended myself. That's a mistake now that I made in a couple of my losses. But we always make our biggest growth through the adversity, right? Through the chaos, through the losses, and I've had a couple of them now, and I can sit here and say that they bummed me out and they pissed me off, which they absolutely do. No one likes losing. Losing is never fun. When you lose, especially in this sport, everything just kind of around you sucks. Like, food doesn't taste as good, music doesn't sound as good. I mean, that's part of the sport. It's the ultimate ups and downs. But if you learn something from it, then you have an opportunity to get better. And I feel like for this camp coming off after my last fight, I've grown more as an MMA fighter, not only physically, not only with my skill set, but mentally as well, where I'm nothing but excited for this fight, man. I really am. And, um, I feel like sometimes fighters want to, you know, they want to lie to themselves and say that they put the work in. I think the last time we chatted, I talked about this a little bit as well, but I think what it comes down to is that there's a fine line between cocky and confidence. And I think cockiness comes from not putting the work in. It comes from lying to yourself. It comes from, having a snowflake's chance in hell of winning a fight. It comes from doing the coin flip and saying, all right, man, I have a puncher's chance. And then the confidence comes from the work that you put in, the people that you surround yourself with. And I've surrounded myself with killers, man, that have pushed me, that have made things hard on me in training camp, but I'd have no other way. So the man that's going to stand before you October 19th when he's walking to that cage, there will not be an ounce of cockiness, because once again, that's not something that I'm ingrained with. It's going to be 100% confidence, because I've earned that right to be confident.
Yeah, going back to that Greg Hardy fight, I believe that fight was probably the most anticipated matchup in the history of Contender Series, right? Am I lying or not?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to go back to my DMs, it seemed like it, man, because like everyone was cheering for me to win, and he was definitely the villain, because he's coming off of some things that he did in the NFL that weren't the best look and everything. So yeah, man, it's crazy looking back on it now because it seems so long ago, but it's amazing how much weight that I carried in that fight, man. And it was the weight of a lot of people that I didn't even know, a bunch of strangers saying that you have to win this fight because he's a bad guy. And it wasn't even about fighting anymore. It was about good versus evil, it seemed like. And I put that pressure on myself. And then when the shit didn't go my way, and, I was left to kind of just sit a little bit and sulk of what happened, a lot of people felt a certain type of way about it. And a lot of people had no problems telling me, I let the bad guy win, and I'm a bad person for letting that happen. And that was back when I let comments and everything affect me, man. And then eventually I realized is that social media is not a real thing, man. You know, whether it's good or bad, people can hype you up and they can inflate your ego, or people can try to drag you down and bring you down to their level. The point of the matter is that it doesn't really matter because they're strangers, you know, and that's kind of what I realized later on in my career. That, and it's such a crazy thing too, because you know I experienced it in football, but with football, it's different because the people that would feel like being negative or even positive, whatever the case may be, it was coming from a place of maybe they played Pop Warner, maybe they played high school football. And the MMA fan base is wild, man, because I'm not sure like how many of the percentage of people that want to talk shit, that want to get clout, that want to get notoriety, have actually been in a cage. Yeah, maybe you got in a fight at a Waffle House at 2 o'clock in the morning. Congratulations, but I'm saying actually trained for a fight, made the walk, the nerves, the anxiousness, went through all those emotions, and then listen to that cage close. I'm not sure how many people that want to talk shit online have actually done that. So then when I see that, it's like, well, then why the hell do I care what other people want to say, man? You know, like that's it's I could care less, honestly. And I say that every single time, whether I win or I lose. Like I appreciate the love, and if you want to hate, man, hate. Like it literally does not affect me anymore. And you know, if you go back to my last Instagram post, you know, I mean, obviously I've shared a lot of stories and stuff, but I don't post too much. But my last post is, you know, I know who I'm fighting for, and I'm fighting for my inner circle. I'm fighting for myself, and I'm fighting for my biggest advocate, my biggest fan, and that's my son. And that's it. And as long as I have their support, as long as I know no matter what happens, they're always going to have my back. You could say whatever you want to say on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, man. I'm all good.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I feel
Yeah.
like your opponent, Despaigne, he's kind of dealing with that right now because he's coming off his first loss and he had a lot of hype. And this is in the
Yeah.
UFC, right? Like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
his debut was 19 seconds. Everybody's like fight of the night bonus and all this stuff. What do you think? You
Yeah.
think he's dealing with it too?
No, I mean absolutely, man. Right? Because especially, I'm sure people probably bet on him a lot, and that's that's kind of what it comes down to, too, man. Is when people lose money over you, they got something to say about it. But it's funny because when I won my Dana White's Contender Series fight, nobody was in my DM saying thanks for winning me some money. But I had plenty of people saying you lost me $100, you lost me $200, which makes zero sense to me. Because listen, man, if you feel the need to call a fighter out, and I'm sure you know my opponent has gone through the same thing. I'm sure a lot of UFC fighters have gone through the same thing. If you feel the need to talk shit, to threaten, to bring somebody down because you lost some money um, on a complete stranger that you have no idea who that person is, like all the people that have come after me, you know, saying they lost money, I have no idea who these people are. But you're gonna invest in somebody that you don't know? The hell we doing, man? Like if that's the case, you get that upset, you might want to take a look at yourself and say, man, you might have some bigger issues, right? Like if I'm gonna invest in something, it's gonna be something that I at least know, that I at least have some kind of understanding with. Not complete strangers, man. Like invest in things that you know and people that you know. Don't invest in strangers. But that's just me, man. And I understand the world of gambling, especially in MMA, is a big thing, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, there's a lot of degenerates out there. That's clear as
For
day,
sure.
right? Clear as day. And like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said, we don't know them, so we don't even need to even like acknowledge that.
yeah,
Now you go
yeah, yeah.
back to Vegas to finish off the camp. What does that look like for you?
It's gonna be another week and a half of hell. This is what it looks like, man. It's gonna be intense. It's gonna be kind of putting the finishing touches on the game plan and everything, but it's gonna be exactly what I need. You know, so I'll leave. I think Monday or Tuesday. The next day, I'm sure I'll get in the cage and spar some guys ready to take my head off, and we'll go from there, man. It's the beautiful violence, and I can't wait for it. I always say you kind of have to be a little crazy to do this sport, man. And when I tell my friends about my training sessions and everything of like what I'm going through and the days, they kind of look at me like, why do you put your body through that? And sometimes I wish I knew I had an answer like why I actually do what I do, because I feel like with my mindset, with my motivation, I can be successful in anything that I do. But I love the sport, man. I love the growth from it. I love the art of it. I love the self expression of the sport. This sport has made me the person that I am today, and it's the best version of myself. So I owe this sport a lot, and I take it very seriously. So I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Why I'm working so hard for this fight, and October 19th, I'm getting ready to show everybody.
Yeah, myself, I grew up, playing football, basketball, baseball. Grew up in the States. Like, sports
Yeah,
is just part of your life if you're into it. But like,
yeah,
since I've become older and MMA has become what it is, like I don't even really watch other sports because I interview fighters and I understand like what fighters have to go through. And it's just like these dudes are just super unique people because I've trained before, I train now too, but
yeah.
for many years and I understand what it takes, man.
Yep.
And I just have so much respect that other athletes, it's just like, yeah, they're athletes, but these dudes, they go through hell, man.
No, listen, man. I always say this, like, you know, I was blessed to play with a lot of great athletes in the NFL, but anybody, and whether you're an amateur, whether you're a boxer, whether you're a Muay Thai guy, whatever the case may be, anybody that wants to make that walk, get in the ring and have to fight somebody or get in a cage and fight somebody has my respect. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what level you're on, whether you're an amateur on a regional scene or whether you're a UFC champion. I think of you the same, and you have my respect.
October 19th, UFC Fight Night, UFC Apex. Austin, thank you, man. Always a good chat, man. Always a good chat with you,
Dude,
man.
dude, it's like it's always kind of like therapeutic for me a little bit, man. So I appreciate you giving me the platform to express myself, man, and to just speak my truth, man. And you
Yeah.
always have a great energy, and you always bring it out of me, man. So I appreciate the opportunity once again. It's great to hear from you. It's great to see you. I hope all is going well on your end, man. I know it's more of like you're interviewing me, but I hope you're doing well. Keep up the great work, man, and I'm sure I'll see you down the road again.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And yeah, man, this is a banger. Everybody's need to watch this fight, man, for sure.
Right on, man. Yes, please do, man. Tune in for sure. Check your what do they say? Check your local listings, as they say in the news business.
Yeah.
Check your local listings. It'll be on ESPN or something. Whatever the
Okay.
case may be, you're not going to want to miss this fight. So.